So we're doing a second example. We're going to work the opposite direction. We're going to start with the quadratic. Notice that they have restricted the quadratic. So it is a one-to-one function. Remember, one-to-one functions mean that it passes both the vertical and the horizontal line test. The purpose of the horizontal line test is to make sure that the inverse will also be a function. And so when we have a parabola, if we graph the entire parabola like this, it may pass the vertical line test, but it fails the horizontal line test because it passes it twice. It passes the vertical line test, so it is a function. It passes the vertical line test, so we know it's a function, but because it fails the horizontal line test, we know its inverse will not be a function. So with that insight, they go ahead and restrict part of the parabola, and they restricted the negative part, or the part on the left side, so that we would have a function that now passed both the vertical line test and the horizontal line test. So that's the point of restricting the domain. Now that we have the domain and we understand what that piece of information is, we don't do anything with that except know what it's doing and why it's there. We are going to rewrite this equation with the y. Step number 1, rewrite with a y. Step number 2, switch the x and y. And then step number 3, solve for y. So I've got to make this squared term right here. I've got to make that go away. So how do you make the squared term go away? You square root both sides. And when we square root both sides, that cancels out, and we left with the square root of x, but we do have the plus or minus over here. And then we have y minus 2. We've got to get rid of that y value. We got to get rid of the 2 that's beside the y value, so we're going to do the opposite. We're going to add 2, and we usually put that 2 up in front. Y'all remember what solving those quadratics look like. Now, if we rewrite that as the inverse, and we put 2 plus or minus the square root of x. If we were to graph that, that's going to give us the 2 branches. The positive branch is going to be going up like this, and then the negative branch, where we subtract right here, 2 minus, will have us going down like this. So that's why when we're having this restricted domain, we said that it was going to be restricting and only giving us the positive branch, okay, then that means that we're going to be only having the positive branch of this one. So we're actually not going to include the negative. It's going to be 2 plus the square root of x. And if you jump on over to Desmos real quick, there's the thing that they gave us, x minus 2 squared. Let me make sure that's right. X minus 2 squared. They restricted the quadratic to only include the right branch, the branch on the right. So I did the same thing right here. Then we are going to, and again, you could, I'm sorry I didn't do the y equals, or you can do g of x equals. G of x equals, and then down here we'll do y equals, we did 2, we're going to do plus the square root of x, and you can see that that is the inverse. If you want to see that line that they reflect about, there's the y equals x line right there, and you can see that they do reflect. The point right here is 2, 0. So what is the point right here? The point is 0, 2. They intersect right there on that y equals x line. So this one's super easy to see. But again, I'm going to say it again, the reason that I took off the minus is because I did not have that left branch up here because they restricted my domain. And the left branch would have been this part. I didn't mean for the whole thing to erase. The left branch would have been the bottom part. This is the top part, and the left branch would have been the bottom, would cause the bottom part. So we took that part off because of the restriction.